Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Superstars of Wrestling review series here on Pro Wrestling Logic for the 7th of February 1987. As mentioned, we're going backwards through as many of these as we can. Hope to get to at least 150. Should be able to do that pretty easy. 200 would be a dream because that'd almost be half the program. But anyway, this is a relatively historic show for a number of reasons, and obviously 1987, much different than the 90 through 93 that we've been covering. Bruno Sammartino still here as an announcer. Yeah, Bruno as an announcer, not the best of situations, but it is what it is, and he was a big figure for so long with the brand, from the beginning in 63 up through, I think he leaves in 88. He was on again, off again, part of the brand, and certainly a name that wrestling fans in the Northeast, tri-state area, New England area, would certainly know who he is. Speaking of know who he is, Randy Macho Man Savage is up in an enhancement match with David Gold. Decent enough match, I suppose. Savage, obviously, a few weeks away, probably about 6-7 weeks away from losing the Intercontinental Championship to Ricky Steamboat at WrestleMania 3, and that is a big part of what goes on in this program, is the major build for WrestleMania 3. Super easy enhancement talent match. Savage, though, sends the guy to the outside and manages to hit the top rope axe handle onto the floor. How his knees held up for that, I will never know. Anyway, Savage with a body slam, almost a power slam-like maneuver, drops the knee, then goes to the top rope, drops the elbow. That top rope elbow is just lethal. We start to see hype for WrestleMania 3, even though matches aren't really there. Ticketmaster's being called, or encouraged to be called. Gene Okerlund kind of gets us moving towards that. There is still a WWF magazine at the time. Obviously, bigger, badder, better is the tagline for Mania 3, and it is March 29th. So we're talking about, about 8 or so weeks away from that. And then we go to a historic occasion here. The Hart Foundation, Bret Hart, Jim Neidhart, winning the Tag Team Championship for the first time from the British Bulldogs. Davey Boy Smith and Dynamite Kid. Dynamite Kid had injured himself in late November, and it kind of protected him for a while. Bulldog runs wild on both members of the Hart Foundation for a little bit. They protected Davey Boy for about one TV or maybe two, but they couldn't, protected Dynamite, couldn't do it forever. He gets ramrodded into the steel post on the outside very early, before the match even begins, and Jimmy Hart hits him with the megaphone. Anyway, a couple of minutes, literally probably about 3 minutes or so, Bulldog bounces him around, but the Hart eventually hit the heart attack, get the finish, and the Tag Team Championship. Danny Davis, who later becomes a wrestler for Jimmy Hart in his stable, does so actually within the 6 or 7 weeks leading up to WrestleMania 3, is the referee of record when the cheating is done. We kind of go into a Madison Square Garden hype deal. Savage, Adonis, and the King Harley Race are going to end up facing a Junkyard Dog, Ricky Steamboat, and Roddy Piper in an elimination-style match. Savage basically wants to get his hands on Ricky Steamboat. Adonis isn't there. Jimmy Hart doing his talking for him. But anyway, that's a pretty major deal. And the King basically says that the dog has been run out, implying that he, I guess, has run the Junkyard Dog off, even though they end up wrestling at WrestleMania in a very short, less than 5-minute match. Anyway, Bobby Heenan presents Hercules for an enhancement talent match. Hercules actually wearing studded, I guess, wrist guards, and his opponent is a gentleman by the name of Buddy Blake. Buddy is not having a good day here. Hercules, massively powerful at the time. He'd only been part of the promotion for a couple of months by this point. About a year, because he was part of WrestleMania 2, maybe a little bit more than a year. Anyway, so snaps over snapmare by Hercules. Hercules, stays with Heenan for a little bit, and Billy Jack Haynes does an inset promo promising to be the man to defeat Hercules and go through the Battle of the Full Nelson. They both are using the Full Nelson as a finish. Backbreaker by Hercules, basic enhancement talent match. Heenan obviously not terribly worried, as his man is one of the most powerful men in the history of the WWF. Anyway, hooks in the Full Nelson, and away we go. There is a match at the Meadowlands coming up, Savage and Steamboat. Steamboat basically says he wants revenge on Savage under any circumstance. He also says Elizabeth had better watch out because she's going to see something horrific if she is in attendance. And that's kind of cool. We have an interesting debut, as is a common thing. Outback Jack, otherwise known as a Crocodile Dundee ripoff, is here. He is facing the Brooklyn Brawler, Steve Lombardi, although the Brawler name doesn't come for a couple of years yet. Anyway, Outback Jack, not a good wrestler in the ring, completely character, body slams, arm drags, and the like, but it is certainly an ugly, ugly affair. Anyway, Lombardi tries everything he can, including but not limited to raking the eyes of the man and other things. Eventually, though, Outback Jack hits a clothesline to the back of the neck of his adversary and gets a victory. Now, the biggest, at least in my opinion, the biggest Piper's Pit of all time is here. If you have never seen this, if you are a fan that's, I don't know, under 35, under 40, whatever it is, or you are a fan that's into new wrestling and you weren't around for this, or you just haven't done your homework, go out of your way to see this. Jesse Ventura presents Andre the Giant. Andre the Giant, in story, has not been defeated in 15 years. So we're talking about from 1972 to now, which is a lie, of course, but it's a lie that WWF fans would believe because they haven't seen Andre get beaten. And remember, cable television has been around, but Andre was protected in the New York territory quite well. Anyway, he comes out with Bobby Heenan, which is new because Andre has been away since, I guess you'd say, summer of '86 for quite a bit, both filming The Princess Bride and having surgery. He comes back with Bobby Heenan. Heenan says that Hogan never once gave Andre a shot. Hogan is mortified that Andre would even, be beside Bobby Heenan. If you really follow wrestling long term, Heenan has been a thorn in Hogan's side from his AWA days, actually years before even coming to the WWF, and his entire WWF run. So long term, multi-year storytelling there. Hogan is shocked. Andre says he wants a championship shot. Hogan can't compose himself. He keeps saying, "No, Andre, no, what are you doing? Why now? Why this?" Anyway, so at the end of this, Andre, not getting the response he wants, takes one hand and rips the shirt off Hogan's chest. Hogan, who has just been manhandled, is also cut by his own cross in a poetic form of justice and is bleeding from the chest. Iconic line, Roddy Piper says, "You're bleeding." Hogan looks like he's about to cry as we go to commercial break. Now, this eventually, Hogan the following week does agree to put the championship on the line, but we don't know that for a week. So imagine 1987 you, especially targeted towards kids, are thinking about, dreaming about the possibility could they even sign the match of Hogan versus Andre. Anyway, Killer Bees are up next. And once again, just as a reminder, go out of your way to see this. If you've never seen it before, that Hogan, Piper, and Andre Piper's Pit is iconic in nature. Anyway, Jimmy Jack Funk and an enhancement talent against the Killer Bees. Killer Bees are B. Brian Blair and Jim Brunzell. Blair and Brunzell, who have been there less than a year as a team together, are dressed in black and yellow, dressed like, well, you get it, Killer Bees. Anyway, clothesline attempts, really basic stuff, body slams and the like. The Bees end up doing some double team maneuvers and get sunset flips, among other things. And spinning toe holds by Brunzell. Basically, the Bees end up winning in a relatively nondescript matchup. Then we move to another segment in the program. More hype from, this time, Craig DeGeorge, who ends up being a member of the XFL broadcast team at a later point, facing off and hyping WrestleMania 3. Butch Reed, managed by Slick, the natural Butch Reed, is out next, and he is taking on David Stottlemyre in an enhancement match. Reed, who many people, according to urban legend and the like, believe, I don't know if I believe, but some people believe, that Reed was going to win the Intercontinental Championship off of Ricky Steamboat in a few months, but no shows the television taping. Reed is a guy that I actually am looking forward to watching. What I've decided is going to be Mid-South for our next long-term series, because I'll get to see Reed in his prime or closer to it. Reed here never really hits his stride in the World Wrestling Federation. Does have a lot of power, hits a vicious clothesline, and a beautiful press slam, but he just never really, as a full talent, catches on here in the World Wrestling Federation at the time. He actually hits the press slam, followed by an elbow drop, gets the win. There is an upcoming Madison Square Garden house show. This is promoted before we close the program. What I like about these old area deals is that, in fact, you're promoting several house shows within the same program and not just the same one. That stops around 88, 89 or so, but it's still here in 86, 87. Anyway, we see the original run of Demolition, Axe and Smash, this time managed by Johnny Valiant or Johnny V. Axe and Smash, who are very differently painted than we come to know them, are promising Johnny V that they will get rid of the Islanders, at this time baby faces, Tama and Haku, at an upcoming Garden event. And that will close us for today. Obviously, a pretty big deal with the Tag Team Championship switch. But anyhow, worth checking out, and we will be back with more right after this.